Day 261. Mark 15. 1. And at once in the morning the chief priests made a council with the elders, and with the scribes, and with the whole assembly, and they bound Yeshua, and brought him and delivered him to Pilate. 2. And Pilate asked him, You are the king of the Judeans? But he answered and said to him, You have said. 3. And the chief priests accused him of many things. 4. Then Pilate again asked him, and said to him, Do you not answer? See how many are testifying against you. 5. But Yeshua gave no answer, to Pilate's amazement. 6. But he had set a time at every feast to release one prisoner to them, whomever they requested. 7. And there was one who was called Barabbas, who was bound with those who had made sedition, who had committed murder in the sedition. 8. And the people cried out, and they began to ask that he would keep the custom which he had been doing for them. 9. And Pilate answered and said, Are you willing that I release to you the king of the Judeans? 10. For Pilate had known that for envy the chief priests had delivered him to them. 11. But the chief priests urged the crowd all the more that he would release Barabbas to them. 12. But Pilate said to them, What do you want me to do to this one whom you call the king of the Judeans? 13. But they again cried out, Crucify him. 14. But Pilate said to them, What evil has he done? And they were crying out even more, Crucify him. 15. But Pilate chose to do the will of the crowds, and he released Barabbas to them and delivered Yeshua to them, after he had been scourged, to be crucified. 16. But the soldiers led him within the courtyard, which is the praetorium, and they called the whole company of soldiers. 17. And they clothed him in purple, and they wound and placed on him a crown of thorns. 18. And they began to greet him, Hail, King of the Judeans. 19. And they were hitting him on his head with a reed and spitting in his face and bowing on their knees and worshipping him. 20. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of the purple and clothed him in his clothes and led him to crucify him. 21. And they detained one who was passing by, Shimeon, a Cyrenian, who had come from the field, the father of Alexander and Rufus, to take up his cross. 22. And they brought him to the place Golgotha, which is interpreted, the skull. 23. And they gave him wine to drink, mixed with myrrh, but he would not take it. 24. And when they crucified him, they divided his garments and cast lots for them, who would take what? 25. But it was the third hour when they crucified him. 26. And the pretext of his death was written in this writing, This is the king of the Judeans. 27. And they crucified 2 robbers with him, one at his right, and one at his left. 28. And the scripture was fulfilled that says, He was numbered with wicked men. 29. But those also who were passing by were blaspheming against him, and were shaking their heads, and they were saying, O destroyer of the temple, and the one who builds it in 3 days. 30. Save yourself, and come down from the cross. 31. And likewise the chief priests were joking with one another and the scribes, and they were saying, He saved others, he cannot save himself. 32. Let the Messiah, the King of Israel, descend now from the cross, that we may see, and we will believe in him. And those also who were crucified with him were reviling him. 33. And when it was the 6th hour, darkness was over all the earth until the 9th hour. 34. And in the 9th hour Yeshua cried out in a loud voice, and he said, Lema sabachthani, which is, My Yehovah, why have you forsaken me? 35. And the people who heard among those standing there were saying, He called to Elijah. 36. But one ran and filled a sponge with vinegar and tied it on a reed to give him a drink, and they said, Let him alone. Let us see if Elijah comes to take him down. 37. But Yeshua cried with a loud voice, and he expired. 38. And the curtain of the entrance of the temple was ripped in 2 from the top unto the bottom. 39. But when that centurion, who was standing with him, saw that he had so cried out and expired, he said, Truly, this man was the Son of Jehovah. 40. But there were also women there from afar off, who were looking, Miriam Magdalitha and Miriam, mother of Jacob the Small, and of Yos and Shalom. 41. They were those who had joined him when he was in Galilee and ministered to him, and many other women who had gone up with him to Jerusalem. 42. And when it was Friday evening, which is before the Sabbath. 43. Joseph came, who was from Ramtha, an honorable counselor who had been waiting for the kingdom of Jehovah, and he ventured and entered to Pilate and requested the body of Yeshua. 44. But Pilate wondered if he had been dead that long, and he called the centurion and asked him if he had died before the time. 45. And when he learned, he gave his body to Joseph. 46. And Joseph had bought linen, and he took it down and wrapped it and placed it in a tomb that was hewn out in rock, and he rolled a stone at the entrance of the tomb. 47. But Miriam Magdalitha and Miriam, the mother of Joses, saw where he had been laid. Hebrews 7. 1. This Melchizedek is the king of Shalem, priest of the Most High Jehovah, and he met Abraham when he returned from the massacre of kings and blessed him. 2. And Abraham distributed to him a tenth of everything that he had with him, but his name is interpreted, King of Righteousness, and again King of Shalem, which is, King of Peace. 3. Without his father and his mother being written in the genealogies, neither having beginning of his days nor end of his life, but in the likeness of the Son of Jehovah, his priesthood remains for eternity. 4. But see how much greater is this one than the man Abraham, chief of the fathers, to whom he gave the tithe of the best. 5. For those of the sons of Levi who received priesthood had a commandment of the written law to take a tenth part from those people of their brethren, as also they had come forth from the loins of Abraham. 6. But this man who was not written in their genealogies received the tithe from Abraham and blessed him who had received the promise. 7. But without dispute, he who is lesser is blessed by him who is greater than he. 8. And here the children of men who die receive tithes, but there, he about whom the scriptures testify that he lives. 9. And as a man, let us say about him that by Abraham, Levi, who receives tithes, was caused to tithe. 10. For he was yet in the loins of his father when he met Melchizedek. 11. If perfection therefore is by priesthood of Levi, for by it the written law was established to the people, why was another priest needed to arise in the image of Melchizedek? But does it say that he would be in the image of Aaron? 12. But just as there was a change in the priesthood, in this way there was also a change in the law. 13. For he about whom these things were said was born from another tribe, from which a man never ministered at the altar. 14. For it is revealed that our Elo-heem arose from Judah, about which tribe Moses never said anything concerning priesthood. 15. And moreover, again, it is apparent by this that he said that another priest arises in the image of Melchizedek. 16. He who was not by the law of carnal commandments, but by the power of an indestructible life. 17. For he testified about him, you are the priest for eternity in the image of Melchizedek. 18. But there was a change in the First Testament because of its impotence, and there was no benefit in it. 19. For the written law perfects nothing, but hope, which is greater than it, entered in its place, by which we approach Jehovah. 20. And he confirmed it to us by an oath. 21. For they were priests without an oath, but this one, with an oath, as he said to him by David, Elo-heem Jehovah has sworn and will not lie, that you are the priest for eternity in the image of Melchizedek. 22. This covenant, of which Yeshua is the guarantor, is entirely better. 23. And there were many priests, because they were dying and were not permitted to continue. 24. But this one's priesthood, because he is eternal, does not pass away. 25. And he can give life for eternity to those who come near to Jehovah by him, for he lives always and offers prayers for our sakes. 26. For because this priest also was right for us, pure, without malice and without defilement, who is separate from sin and exalted higher than heaven. 27. And he has no compulsion every day as the chief priests to offer sacrifice, first for his sins and then for the people, for this one did it one time by his life which he offered. 28. For the law establishes weak men as priests, but the word of the oath, which was after the law, the Son, who is perfect for eternity. Numbers 18. 1. And Jehovah spoke to Aaron, saying, Thou and thy sons and thy father's house shall bear the sins of the holy things, and thou and thy sons shall bear the iniquity of your priesthood. 2. And take to thyself thy brethren the tribe of Levi, the family of thy father, and let them be joined to thee, and let them minister to thee, and thou and thy sons with thee shall minister before the tabernacle of witness. 3. And they shall keep thy charges, and the charges of the tabernacle, only they shall not approach the holy vessels and the altar, so both they and you shall not die. 4. And they shall be joined to thee, and shall keep the charges of the tabernacle of witness, in all the services of the tabernacle, and a stranger shall not approach to thee. 5. And ye shall keep the charges of the holy things, and the charges of the altar, and so there shall not be anger among the children of Israel. 6. And I have taken your brethren the Levites out of the midst of the children of Israel, a present given to Jehovah, to minister in the services of the tabernacle of witness. 7. And thou and thy sons after thee shall keep up your priestly ministration, according to the whole manner of the altar, and that which is within the veil, and ye shall minister in the services as the office of your priesthood, and the stranger that comes near shall die. 8. And Jehovah said to Aaron, and, behold, I have given you the charge of the firstfruits of all things consecrated to me by the children of Israel, and I have given them to thee as an honor, and to thy sons after thee for a perpetual ordinance. 9. And let this be to you from all the holy things that are consecrated to me, even the burnt offerings, from all their gifts, and from all their sacrifices, and from every trespass offering of theirs, and from all their sin offerings, whatever things they give to me of all their holy things, they shall be thine and thy sons. 10. In the most holy place shall ye eat them, every male shall eat them, thou and thy sons, they shall be holy to thee. 11. And this shall be to you of the firstfruits of their gifts, of all the wave offerings of the children of Israel, to thee have I given them, and to thy sons and thy daughters with thee, a perpetual ordinance, every clean person in thy house shall eat them. 12. Every first offering of oil, and every first offering of wine, their firstfruits of corn, whatsoever they may give to Jehovah, to thee have I given them. 13. All the firstfruits that are in their land, whatsoever they shall offer to Jehovah, shall be thine, every clean person in thy house shall eat them. 14. Every devoted thing among the children of Israel shall be thine. 15. And everything that opens the womb of all flesh, whatsoever they bring to Jehovah, whether man or beast, shall be thine, only the firstborn of men shall be surely redeemed, and thou shalt redeem the firstborn of unclean cattle. 16. And the redemption of them shall be from a month old, their valuation of 5 shekels, it is 20 oboli, according to the holy shekel. 17. But thou shalt not redeem the firstborn of calves, and the firstborn of sheep, and the firstborn of goats, they are holy, and thou shalt pour their blood upon the altar, and thou shalt offer the fat as a burnt offering for a smell of sweet savor to Jehovah. 18. And the flesh shall be thine, as also the breast of the wave offering, and as the right shoulder, it shall be thine. 19. Every special offering of the holy things, whatsoever the children of Israel shall specially offer to Jehovah, I have given to thee and to thy sons and to thy daughters with thee, a perpetual ordinance, it is a covenant of salt forever before Jehovah, for thee and thy seed after thee. 20. And Jehovah said to Aaron, Thou shalt have no inheritance in their land, neither shalt thou have any portion among them, for I am thy portion and thine inheritance in the midst of the children of Israel. 21. And, behold, I have given to the sons of Levi every tithe in Israel for an inheritance for their services, whereinsoever they perform ministry in the tabernacle of witness. 22. And the children of Israel shall no more draw nigh to the tabernacle of witness to incur fatal guilt. 23. And the Levite himself shall perform the service of the tabernacle of witness, and they shall bear their iniquities, it is a perpetual statute throughout their generations, and in the midst of the children of Israel they shall not receive an inheritance. 24. Because I have given as a distinct portion to the Levites for an inheritance the tithes of the children of Israel, whatsoever they shall offer to Jehovah, therefore I said to them, In the midst of the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance. 25. And Jehovah spoke to Moses, saying, 26. Thou shalt also speak to the Levites, and shalt say to them, If ye take the tithe from the children of Israel, which I have given you from them for an inheritance, then shall ye separate from it a heave offering to Jehovah, a tenth of the tenth. 27. And your heave offerings shall be reckoned to you as corn from the floor, and an offering from the winepress. 28. So shall ye also separate them from all the offerings of Jehovah out of all your tithes, whatsoever ye shall receive from the children of Israel, and ye shall give of them an offering to Jehovah to Aaron the priest. 29. Of all your gifts ye shall offer an offering to Jehovah, and of every first fruit the consecrated part from it. 30. And thou shalt say to them, When ye shall offer the firstfruits from it, then shall it be reckoned to the Levites as produce from the threshing floor, and as produce from the winepress. 31. And ye shall eat it in any place, ye and your families, for this is your reward for your services in the tabernacle of witness. 32. And ye shall not bear sin by reason of it, for ye shall have offered an offering of first fruits from it, and ye shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel, that ye die not. Jeremiah 38. 1. And Sophanias the son of Nathan, and Godolias the son of Pashur, and Jochel the son of Semelias, heard the words which Jeremiah spoke to the people, saying, 2. Thus saith the Elohim, he that remains in this city shall die by the sword, and by the famine, but he that goes out to the Chaldeans shall live, and his soul shall be given him for a found treasure, and he shall live. 3. For thus saith the Elohim, the city shall certainly be delivered into the hands of the host of the king of Babylon, and they shall take it. 4. And they said to the king, let that man, we pray thee, be slain, for he weakens the hands of the fighting men that are left in the city, and the hands of all the people, speaking to them according to these words, for this man does not prophesy peace to this people, but evil. 5. Then the king said, behold, he is in your hands. For the king could not resist them. 6. And they cast him into the dungeon of Melchias the king's son, which was in the court of the prison, and they let him down into the pit, and there was no water in the pit, but mire, and he was in the mire. 7. And Abdemelech the Ethiopian heard, now he was in the king's household, that they had put Jeremias into the dungeon, and the king was in the gate of Benjamin. 8. And he went forth to him, and spoke to the king and said, 9. Thou hast done evil in what thou hast done to slay this man with hunger, for there is no more bread in the city. 10. And the king commanded Abdemelech, saying, take with thee hence 30 men, and bring him up out of the dungeon, that he die not. 11. So Abdemelech took the men and went into the underground part of the king's house, and took then sole drags and old ropes, and threw them to Jeremias into the dungeon. 12. And he said, put these under the ropes. And Jeremias did so. 13. And they drew him with the ropes, and lifted him out of the dungeon, and Jeremias remained in the court of the prison. 14. Then the king sent, and called him to himself into the house of Aselasel, which was in the house of Elo-heem, and the king said to him, I will ask thee a question, and I pray thee hide nothing from me. 15. And Jeremias said to the king, if I tell thee, wilt thou not certainly put me to death? And if I give thee counsel, thou wilt not at all hearken to me. 16. And the king swore to him, saying, as the Elohim lives, who gave us this soul, I will not slay thee, neither will I give thee into the hands of these men. 17. And Jeremias said to him, thus saith the Elohim, if thou wilt indeed go forth to the captains of the king of Babylon, thy soul shall live, and the city shall certainly not be burnt with fire, and thou shalt live, and thy house. 18. But if thou wilt not go forth, this city shall be delivered into the hands of the Chaldeans, and they shall burn it with fire, and thou shalt by no means escape. 19. And the king said to Jeremias, I consider the Jews that have gone over to the Chaldeans, lest they deliver me into their hands, and they mock me. 20. And Jeremias said, they shall in no wise deliver thee up. Hear the word of Elohim which I speak to thee, and it shall be better for thee, and thy soul shall live. 21. But if thou wilt not go forth, this is the word which Elohim has shown me. 22. And, behold, all the women that are left in the house of the king of Judah were brought forth to the princes of the king of Babylon, and they said, the men who were at peace with thee have deceived thee, and will prevail against thee, and they shall cause thy foot to slide and fail, they have turned back from thee. 23. And they shall bring forth thy wives and thy children to the Chaldeans, and thou shalt by no means escape, for thou shalt be taken by the hand of the king of Babylon, and the city shall be burnt. 24. Then the king said to him, let no man know any of these words, and certainly thou shalt not die. 25. And if the princes shall hear that I have spoken to thee, and they come to thee, and say to thee, tell us, what said the king to thee? Hide it not from us, and we will in no wise slay thee, and what said the king to thee? 26. Then thou shalt say to them, I brought my supplication before the presence of the king, that he would not send me back into the house of Jonathan, that I should die there. 27. And all the princes came to Jeremias, and asked him, and he told them according to all these words, which the king had commanded him. And they were silent, because the word of the Elohim was not heard. 28. and Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison, until the time when Jerusalem was taken. Jeremiah 39. 1. And it came to pass in the 9th month of Sedekias king of Judah, that Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon came, and all his host, against Jerusalem, and they besieged it. 2. And in the 11th year of Sedekias, in the 4th month, on the 9th day of the month, the city was broken up. 3. And all the leaders of the king of Babylon went in, and sat in the middle gate, Marganasar, and Samagoth, and Nebusachar, and Nabusaris, Nagargas, Nazarabbamath, and the rest of the leaders of the king of Babylon. 14. And they sent, and took Jeremiah out of the court of the prison, and gave him in charge to Godolias the son of Achikam, the son of Saphan, and they brought him out, and he sat in the midst of the people. 15. And the word of Elohim came to Jeremiah in the court of the prison, saying, 16. Go and say to Abdemelech the Ethiopian, Thus said Elo-heem Jehovah of Israel, Behold, I will bring my words upon this city for evil, and not for good. 17. But I will save thee in that day, and I will by no means deliver thee into the hands of the men before whom thou art afraid. 18. For I will surely save thee, and thou shalt by no means fall by the sword, and thou shalt find thy life, because thou didst trust in me, saith the Elohim. Psalms 149. 1. Alleluia. Sing to Elohim a new song, his praise is in the assembly of the saints. 2. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him, and let the children of Shaun exult in their king. 3. Let them praise his name in the dance, let them sing praises to him with timbrel and psaltery. 4. For Elohim takes pleasure in his people, and will exalt the meek with salvation. 5. The saints shall rejoice in glory, and shall exult on their beds. 6. The high praises of Jehovah shall be in their throat, and two-edged swords in their hands. 7. To execute vengeance on the nations, and punishments among the peoples. 8. To bind their kings with fetters, and their nobles with manacles of iron. 9. To execute on them the judgment written, This honor have all his saints.